Hi everyone. I saw a really fancy, expensive jarred fish and I was wondering, why is it this price? Is it really that good? So I decided to buy it and I felt like I couldn't do a video unless I was comparing it to something, and I ended up buying way too many different things that won't work if I try to eat everything at one time. It's just gonna fish me out, okay? So I decided to go ahead and just film this in different increments and then I'll slap them all together. So we're gonna start off with an Alaska fish snack. That is what it's called. I have 3 flavors of this, and this one is deep cheese. I also have wasabi mayo and roasted onion. So all of this says is Alaska fish snack. That's all this says down here. And it's some type of pollock from Alaska, and it's like a paste. So, that's how the snacks are made, right? These aren't like whole fish. Deep cheese is going to be different from soft cheese. So soft is the word that gets translated. Instead of mild cheese flavor, it's a soft flavor. Let's give these a go. These are a little different than I thought they would be. I thought they'd be a little bit thicker. They do have a fish snack in Korea that is pretty common. It's just this crispy fish snack, usually made from I forget exactly the name of the fish, filefish. And I don't know, this looks really light. It looks like a potato chip, so let's give it a try. I mean, that's very fishy. Almost to the point where you don't want to eat it, but then it's like you realize it's not bad, it's just very strong. I would say deep fish, not deep cheese. This don't taste like cheese. It smells like cheese. You can't even, it's weird. You can't smell the fish at all. And you just smell the cheese. But then when you eat it, the only thing you taste is this overpowering fish flavor. It's Dr. Pepper this. Okay. This definitely left a taste in my mouth. I'm trying to think what am I gonna finish with? This left a really strong taste in my mouth. I actually had to pause this video, and after 2 minutes, I still just taste the exact same strength of this flavor. So the other 2 flavors I have are roasted onion and wasabi mayo, and I'm hoping if I leave the wasabi second that maybe it'll clear out some of this flavor. So the roasted onion, it looks fun, but usually when I see this green and I see onion, I think sour cream is gonna be available. So I did think this was sour cream and onion. It's just onion, which is fine. I just didn't expect it. This smells like McDonald's French fries, almost exactly. Like, if you made me close my eyes and smell this, I would just think, yeah, it's a bag of like cold fries from McDonald's. So let's see if it tastes like McDonald's French fries. Well, actually, so the first one, super strong fish flavor. This one, it's so light that I would be mistaking it for a potato. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's thought about being a fish. It's like La Croix, that drink. It thought about it. It's really good, but again, it just really tastes like McDonald's French fries. Bizarre. So last one we got here, as I said, is the wasabi mayo. So I'm just hoping all my coworkers will like to eat some of these too. There's a lot of them. This, yeah, wasabi, definitely get a nose full of wasabi. Let's go for it. It's just wasabi. Wow, I did not expect that. That's it. It's not even just that nasal quality to it, but it's burning in my mouth. It's almost as if it's like a hot pepper, but with that brightness, that wasabi brightness or freshness to it. It's got that airiness without that, I don't know, I feel like when you eat something that's got capsaicin, it's a really heavy flavor or a heavy sensation that's really sticks to your tongue, whereas this is more like a flame that goes out very quickly. And that's how I think about this wasabi flavor, but that's really all I taste. At the beginning of it, immediately you taste something, there's some fish in this thing. You don't know what it is. It may be, a fish cake, it may be something like that. It doesn't taste like just fish. but let's try this wasabi with the cheese. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see. No, it's bad. That was just cheese. Maybe the first chip I tried was bad, because all these are very lightly flavored. And then the second one, well, yeah, there's that cheese flavor. I think I just got a bad one, or a strong one the first time. So these are really light too in flavor. Now I taste the cheese, and the cheese powder in Korea, if you are not Korean and you're looking for cheese, don't go for anything that's got cheese powder on it. It is, you know, you're expecting something like Cheetos, right? This is sweet. It's sweet. It's not at all salty. It's not at all savory. It is a sweet experience. And it's very frustrating to have this sweet experience, because if I wanted something sweet, I would have grabbed, I don't know, a sugary thing. I don't look at cheese and say, oh yeah, that sounds like a sweet snack that I would enjoy. But there's this like oily funk to it. So it's not only sweet, it's got this like oily residue that just hangs out. It's almost like if oil and plastic had a baby and then they rolled it around in sweetened cream cheese and then they turned that into a powder. So when I saw deep cheese, I was hoping it would be extra cheese or some kind of savory cheese, salty cheese, some kind of Roquefort or other more strongly flavored cheese. You know, it's like when it says extra spicy, you want it to be extra spicy, right? You expect it to have some spice to it. You wouldn't expect something sweet that also has an oil slick that it leaves on your tongue. I don't even know where the oil is coming from and how these particles of powder can be so oily. Like, it's oily. It's bizarre. I think I'm gonna try, because we did not try the roasted garlic and the cheese. We'll put that together and try that out. And then we'll try the wasabi and the onion. Sorry, not garlic, it was onion. And then we'll call it good. Let's give it a go. All right, so we'll do the cheese one because I don't want to eat it. So this is cheese and onion. I wanted it to be good. It was good at first. I was hoping the onion quality would salty up that cheese and override the sweetness. That sweetness is never overridden. That sweetness is above all. Somehow the density of the sweetness just rises above everything else, and it just stays in your mouth forever. I don't know what it is about this. Why do you do this to me? It's like it's like the worst relationship where you just keep getting out of it. And then you keep coming back because you think they've changed, and they haven't changed. It's the same when foreigners try to buy garlic bread in Korea. You think they've changed. You do. You think, you know, there couldn't possibly be sugar syrup all over garlic bread, right? This, of course, is going to be a garlicky, savory, salty experience. No. And sometimes you say, look, it looks dry. It doesn't even look like it's got any wet sugar syrup on it. Oh my goodness, yeah, finally, and you get back, it's changed. And then you take a bite and there's just sugar, sugar, sugar. It's like that. So let's go ahead and try just the wasabi and the onion and see if that's any better. Nothing at first. It's pretty boring. Then the wasabi starts to kick in with the onion, but then it starts to overpower it. It's a lot more mitigated when it's with the onion, so you don't just get this overwhelming hit of wasabi. Overall, I'm a bit surprised. I was a bit thrown off guard by that first chip, way too fishy, but now I almost miss it because you really can't taste the fishiness to it. You know, I mentioned they do have a kind of a traditional, more traditional snack. Usually you have it when people are gaming, or you'll have it with beer or something, or you can just have it by itself, and you can get them kind of big or in these little rounds, and they're great. They've got a nice fishiness to it. I want to say grainy, but in a good way, and I love them. You know, you eat it when you want to taste something fishy. So here to have this Alaska fish snack, you're expecting something that's fishy. and it just isn't, you know. I feel I didn't appreciate that first chip enough. That's how I'm feeling. That first chip, man. It was almost too much, but then it wasn't, and then everything else was a shadow of that from there on out. So sad. Anyway, that's where we're starting, is with a big mouthful of disappointment. So this one is a little bit of a stretch when it comes to fishiness. I got a bit carried away, but it is a Japanese snack called arare. That's as much as I can do for the pronunciation. Editing Lee here. It turns out that the rice snacks in general are called arare. So if you want to find this snack, the brand is Kirara, and you have to type in the flavor such as truffle, salt, cheese, arare. A-R-A-R-E, which I did Google, and you can find it. You can find them on Amazon and purchase them as well. And this is supposed to be caviar flavored. So it's got caviar and cheese. And of course, you know, I can't do anything simply. So we have another one that is similar concept, except it's got cheese and truffle, which of course is not fish, but here we are. So let's go ahead and crack into this one here. Give it a smell. There's this, you know, there's like a sweet cheese, like a cheesecake, and then there's that cheese that's got a sweet, but like a sickly sweet, sort of like that taste in your mouth after you vomited. That's where we're at with this one. I don't mean to make that face. It's just that's where we're at. So let's go ahead. I like caviar. I'm a big fan of it. It's supposed to be caviar and actually, sorry, sea urchin too. I like both of those things. I like cheese. I like snacks. I like crispy, crunchy. This looks like one of those rice snacks, and according to the ingredients, it should be that rice snack. I like all of these things. So. The taste is a bit of a mix. As soon as I put it on my tongue, I thought it was tasty. It was interesting. All the flavors are there. They're fun. But towards the end, you get sort of that fake cheese that you would get from one of those snacks combos, which I guess that's what it really does remind me of. But in a really stale way, something that's more waxy on your tongue. And that was the part where I just was not really having a good time eating this. It was this clash of textures. So something like a combo, there's some of that fake cheese sort of mixed in with this crispy bread that as you keep chewing, it sort of meshes together, where it's a crunchy bread and it kind of softens into the cheese, and it just mixes together as like a single texture. This really didn't. The cheese is pretty waxy and it retains its form pretty well. Even as you're chewing it, you're biting it into smaller pieces. You're not, like, the heat of your mouth is not causing it to melt at all. And you're left with that really crunchy rice snack, which by itself is totally fine, and it's very tasty, but it doesn't kind of melt like that, like a cracker would, for example. It's like a wheat cracker would, I should say, because it's a rice cracker. Anyway, there's that. And as I'm breathing in, I just, my mouth is really coated. It's a bizarre feeling. It's like there's a wax coating in my mouth. So, of course, naturally, let's eat more of this. Let's go ahead and try the truffle one. I'm a big fan of truffles, so. This one, again, it smells kind of sweet. Not in a disgusting vomit kind of way. And these guys, like on one side, if you can see it here, you know, it's okay, it's filled up. But then on the other side, it's like blasted out. It's like an exit wound. So let's go ahead and give this a try. I really wish I could describe this texture better for you, because it's a really bizarre concept just by themselves. A crispy, crunchy snack that doesn't dissolve. And then a bar of waxy cheese, processed cheese spread that also doesn't dissolve. And then somehow they're in your mouth, and then at the end, it just disappears. It's weird. This one is actually spicy, which I'm very surprised because it didn't indicate at all. At least, well, I guess the black pepper, I don't know. But they really, well, I did taste black pepper. It's a pretty pronounced flavor. I guess it's to the point that it did add a little spiciness to it. And the reason I'm really surprised by this is that when I think spicy food or a spicy snack that is gonna leave a little heat on my tongue, I don't think Japan. And I also don't think black pepper. So that's a little bizarre. This one, I do wanna give it a second try. I think the flavor is there. And I just wanna try to describe this texture. You know what? Oh my gosh. I cannot push this in. Let's use like one of my nails. Okay, so it comes off and it's just this like piece. Let me just show you. It's retained its shape. Oh my goodness. Can we play with it? Can we soften it up at all with like pressure and heat? All right, so we're softening it, but it's kind of just turning into clay. It's like clay. Can we get it to a point where it's going to be more of a paste? I think we're there. Okay, we're there. All right, this is awesome. I don't have any tissue, so I guess we'll just use other fingers to pick it up because I don't want to use these, you know, it fell on the ground and stuff. So let's go ahead and do it this way. Yeah, it's like clay. I'm trying to like roll it around my tongue, like flatten it out almost, and like try to get some of that heat there to melt it. All you're really left with is that it kind of turns into this pastiness. It doesn't ever smooth out. It's pasty. There's big pieces of, I don't know if you can see that here. There's big pieces of black pepper. And then there's also those just chunks of the rice cracker that, again, it doesn't melt into anything, and so it's sort of a piece of clay that has a bunch of sand rolled into it. That's the best way to describe it. I am really surprised. I usually love Japanese snacks. I think they tend to be pretty novel. They come up with some pretty cool ways to do things. And now as I'm rolling this in my hand, do you guys see this? It's like turning into sand. This is bizarre. Normally you'd expect it to, I don't know, melt into your hand. Wow, this is, no wonder it tastes so sandy, or not taste, but no wonder the texture is so sandy. This is so weird. Yeah, I've never had anything from Japan that I legitimately am angry at. And this is it. I'm angry at this. So, wow. And it just keeps rolling around. It's just there. It's like, there's more of it coming off. Bizarre. Never again. I'm not even gonna give this to anybody. Never again. This is such a bad experience. This is like a punishment. You'd think, you know, this looks like an elevated, delicious version, like a more delicious version of a combo, and it's just awful. Hi everyone, we're gonna kind of blast through this taste test because I got some other stuff to do. We're gonna start off with just some tuna. And I say just, but it's these two guys that were really catching my eye at the store, and their labels are yellow and green respectively, which kind of blends into the background here. So the yellow one, the bigger container here, is Bonito, which you can see is this tuna in the background. We've got Yellowfin, which is actually on the other side, this guy. And we also have a can, just a regular can of tuna that I can get at any Korean market. And this is actually skipjack, which is behind me, and we can kind of see it if we float this label in front here. So I can understand fresh meat being something that is really expensive. You can definitely taste when it's fresh, it's raw, or it's prepared right in front of you. But I was wondering, why is this so expensive? Is it really worth the price if it's something that's been cooked, canned, and shipped overseas? So we're gonna give that a try. Now these are all packed in oil. I made sure to get the dongan chamchi. Chamchi is the Korean for tuna, packed in oil because there's one that's oil and one that isn't. Just because there is going to be so much oiliness. I do have a beer. This is a non-alcoholic beer and it's supposed to be very malty, but a pale lager. Tastes nice. So hopefully this will help us kind of cut through some of that fattiness. I also have some lemon juice because I do like lemon with my fish. I also noticed that the seal is broken, which I guess I can't blame it for not being sealed because it's fish, not seal. So this comes right open. Thankfully with the oil spilling out, it actually didn't smell like fish, which I'm surprised because this does smell like fish. We're gonna go ahead and try this yellowfin first. I can hear Krampus running around in the background going absolutely crazy. So we're gonna go ahead and get a big piece. I wasn't sure the best way to remove this. Now I'm sure we want to remove all the oil, but honestly the logistics of that is not great. So if we take it out here, great. We can see that it actually looks very beautiful. The flesh is only mildly gray, sort of beige, but the inside it's this really light pink color. So let's go ahead and give this a try. All I really taste is the olive oil. There's a fish flavor there. It is pretty mild. Maybe I am gonna have to wash this and we'll see if that improves it at all. But I do want to hit it with some lemon juice first, just in case. It's just lemon juice. Now I have been having a little bit of trouble tasting things, which makes me really sad because maybe this actually has a really good flavor and I've just got some kind of long COVID going on. Let me try again. It's really light. Let me go ahead and wash it. Let me see if that does anything. All right, so I did rinse another piece. It's a nice meaty chunk, this guy. I also decided to grab a little salt. There's Krampus running over again. A bit too much salt. I don't know if that made it better or worse. It's definitely beefy, you know, in terms of the chew to it, as opposed to something like the tuna that you would get in a can, but I think it's just because they're bigger pieces. I did a little digging just to see if there was a better way to prepare this, and it just says, nope, enjoy it straight out of the can. Really, the only reason that you would want the water-packed tuna is if you're using the tuna in a recipe that already includes a lot of fats, such as making a tuna salad where you add a lot of mayonnaise, for example. But that's pretty much it. It did recommend serving it with some bread, so I'm gonna try that. I happen to have some ciabatta that I grabbed this morning, some olive ciabatta, which I think sounds nice. So let's just take it straight from this container and add it to our ciabatta bread. There, let's give it a go. It's a lot of chewing I gotta do. Alright, by itself, yeah, hell yeah, it's really good. It just seems like a really simple meal, and I will probably enjoy this later on. But of course, we're here to compare this between this guy and then look at, I mean, just look at these big honking pieces. Now, it does say that part of the reason that these are sold that in such an expensive way is because of the size of the tuna chunks. So it's not as much for the flavor as it is for the size of the tuna. Of course, that doesn't take into account the rarity of the tuna, any kind of regulations on catching certain types of tuna. These are popping open really easily. So again, we do have a bit of a fishy smell. This just looks really gorgeous, just as a, you know, oh my goodness. Look at you. Yes. All right, well, I guess we're just gonna chomp this bonito straight out the can like they do recommend. And surprisingly a bit dry. My lips are covered in oil and this fish is dry. I'm kind of curious how that happened. So we can see again, there's that light tan on the outside, then on the inside we've got this beautiful pink color. But as far as a real big difference in flavor, this one's a lot lighter. And like I said, a lot more dry. I'll have to figure out how to use this one. Not 100% sure. So this was the bonito and wasn't that neato. So we got our can of tuna, just the regular can. Let's take a nice swig of this before we crack into this can. Now this is one of those cans with like the pull top. They do have a different style in Korea. Yeah, oh no. Krampus is not really used to hearing, you know, tuna being cracked open, right? But Once I pulled open the can, uh-oh. I have to eat this quickly. Now, of course, this is the same kind of pinky kind of color. There is a little grayishness to it, but I would say this is a little bit more pink and Krampus friendly. And of course, a lot smaller in the chunks, right? I'm not sure if it's just because I'm used to this flavor more, but this is something I would associate more with tuna. If you gave me the other ones and asked me to identify it, I'm not sure I would be able to identify the flavor. This has got that. That's part of the problem with doing taste tests is sometimes you just think, wow, how do I even describe what does tuna taste like? It's got that almost marine, slightly irony, slightly fresh flavor that's just distinctive of something you would associate with tuna. And it's still present in raw tuna, except it's just without that fishiness. It just tastes a lot more clean. And Krampus has now showed up. Krampus, come on. Krampus, here, enjoy. You better eat it. I'm sharing with you. And that's something that I noticed was absent from both of those other types of tuna. I would say it's probably more present in the first one than the second one. Mostly I'm just tasting how good the Spanish olive oil is, and then there's some fish there. It's not really identifiable otherwise. And then, of course, with that second one, the bonito, it's really dry. I was pretty surprised by that because bonito is something that is typically used in a lot of broth making, especially in Japan. So something like udon noodles, a lot of the broth is made with dried flaked bonito. That's what I was expecting, that really distinctive light fishiness. And I'm not getting that as much, probably because it's not, you know, dried, so the flavor's not as concentrated, but let's try it again thinking of that, I suppose. Honestly, it's just, the texture is just so off-putting. It really is. It just sucks all the moisture out of your mouth somehow. It's really something that I've never experienced. It does leave a very clean flavor because there's pretty much no flavor. Again, most of the flavor is going to come from the olive oil, which makes sense because it is a fat. Hello, Crook. Do you like the bonito? Yeah? Is it Yum Yums? Krug eats almost nothing, so sometimes he likes fish. Here you go, Krug. Come on. Well, at least my cats are enjoying the taste. Well, at least now I know what I might be able to do with it. So let's go ahead and crack into some other fish, because I did find some in the same section. These are not tuna. One of them is cod, which apparently, I guess, the Spanish cod is typically dried. I'm not sure if it's dried and then packed in oil, or if it's just packed in oil after being cooked, or otherwise. And the other one is sardines in a tomato sauce. I'm a big fan of sardines. I love fish, which is why I thought this would be a really fun taste test. And I'm actually, I don't know. You know, sometimes you pay a lot of money for something and you're satisfied with it. You're just like, wow, that was worth it. You know, I had, in Japan, I had some really delicious beef that cured my depression. Oh my gosh, what an experience. This, I think I would have been better off just buying sardines. So, oh wow. So cracking open the cod. Now I just want to show you, so if you're not looking at the screen, I'll describe what's on the front for you, but it's like a dish of pieces of fish that are dressed with oil and slices of what appear to be baked or fried or whatever, slices of garlic. And that looks good, and that's what I thought that I was going to get, but instead it's just a paste. I don't see a word like pate or anything like that, and it does say a suggested presentation is what's found on the image. Crook doesn't have beer to cleanse his palate, so he needs me to turn on the water. But anyway, it says that it's a suggested presentation. So the image is like, hey, you should serve it this way. How am I supposed to turn a pate into filet au cod? What kind of magic? Is it just the top? No, it's just a paste. How am I supposed to present it this way? What are you guys thinking? All right, let's try it out. This is really good. Wow, lovely garlic flavor. You get a little bit of chive. It's salty, but just salty enough. I think that's great. That's probably something I'm gonna have with that bread. And the last one is gonna be our sardines, which again, it's got fillets of sardines on, is it fillet or fillet? Whatever. Pieces of sardines, chunks of them, on a piece of toast with basil, and there's a tomato in the background. You know, here's hoping with a sardine, but I'm guessing it's a pate. This one does say pate, so that makes sense. Maybe that's what brandada means? I guess we can find out later. This is not open. There we go. Okay, finally got it cracked open. And again, we just got this reddish gray pate. It looks a lot like liver, but of course that's from the tomatoes. That's really good. Again, I love sardines. Quite creamy, very enjoyable. That's the fish taste test. Please let me know what your favorite fish is. I don't hate the other ones. I don't think they're worth the price. So unless you're trying to present big pieces of tuna to impress people from your fallout shelter, I don't see a reason for this. And that's just me. Somebody else can tell me how I'm not sophisticated enough to enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, comments, or just want to share your favorite fish or favorite dish or most disappointing thing that you spent money for, please feel free to post it in the comments section below. And in the details section, you'll find different ways to contact me, such as Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and that sort of thing. As always, guys, thanks for listening. Thank you, Krampus. Thanks for joining while I'm doing my outro. I appreciate it.